Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2018. My name is Charles Allen. I'm the Ward 6 Council member and chair of the Council's Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety.
I'm Kevin Donahue, the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice and the Deputy City Administrator.
They talked in circles for an hour and 10 minutes.
We're coming up on 2 years since we passed the NEAR Act. There are specific data elements that are to be requested.
The questions are about the gaps, and that's fair. I expect that.
The D.C. City Council member who wanted answers.
And I want for a data element that the law requires to be collected, I want it to be collected.
And the deputy mayor who didn't have them.
We're not at the destination that you're asking for, and that I will grant you.
Kevin Donahue leads the Office of Public Safety and Justice, and Public Safety Chairperson Charles Allen was pressing him on why the police department under his watch is still not collecting stop and frisk data as required by the Neighborhood Engagement Achieves Results, or NEAR Act, even though that law is nearly 2 years old.
But the law does spell out what's supposed to be collected.
Frustration mounting among elected officials and those they represent.
And so when the police aren't fully complying with all the different acts of the NEAR Act, they are preventing the residents of the District of Columbia from having an informed conversation about what the policies should or should not be regarding police and how they interact with the community.
Eugene Perrier is an organizer of the grassroots group Stop Police Terror Project DC and one of the driving community voices behind the NEAR Act, which has 20 different provisions aimed at changing the way DC approaches public safety. 14 aspects of the NEAR Act have been implemented, like standardizing police training for recognizing bias and use of force and expanding the authority of the Office of Police Complaints. But other key provisions have not been implemented, listed only as in progress, despite the fact the City Council funded them almost 2 years ago. That includes Title IIG, stop and frisk and use of force data collection. So let's stop for a minute and talk about what stop and frisk is. Here in DC, police have the right to stop a person if they believe that person matches a suspect description. They can then frisk that person if they have reason to believe they're armed and dangerous. A 6-month-long WUSA 9 Special Assignment Unit investigation revealed 8 out of 10 stop and frisk done here in the nation's capital are done on African Americans, sometimes based on vague descriptions leading to thousands of stops on innocent people. And that's where the NEAR Act comes in. Right now, DC police only log a limited amount of information about their stops, like the date, age, race, and location. The NEAR Act requires DC police to do a lot more by recording more than 20 additional categories, including the violation that led to the stop, if a search was conducted, the reason for that search, and whether an arrest was made because of the stop or search. All pretty important stuff, right? Back in that council hearing, Deputy Mayor Donahue downplayed DC Police's failure to comply with the NEAR Act.
The vast majority are being collected. There are some that aren't.
We wanted to know why, but no one from DC Police would answer our questions on camera. Instead, they sent us this email. It said even though the department does collect most of the data referenced in the NEAR Act for stops and frisks, the data is not collected in a manner that can be easily sorted or consistently reviewed. Why not? The department says it's all in different reports or kept by other agencies like the Department of Motor Vehicles. The work of reviewing the data and sorting it into usable content is both laborious and costly, the department wrote. But here's the thing, almost 2 years ago, DC Council gave the police department $150,000 to do just that, to make whatever changes were necessary to start collecting the stop and frisk data in one centralized report, so it can be studied. But DC police now tell us they haven't even touched that money and have no idea when they'll be able to start collecting that stop and frisk data the way the NEAR Act requires. That has activists like Perrier questioning whether the DC Police Department really can't follow this law or just don't want to.
And I think that MPD is unwilling and is trying to slow walk the release of this evidence because of reporting like what you all are doing, the accountability mechanisms that community organizations are trying to do, because they know that when it really comes out, the raw data will match the anecdotal stories about what's going on with stop and frisk.
If you want to look at the limited stop and frisk data DC Police is collecting, now you can. After we began our series of reports, DC Police posted 7 years of stop and frisk data to its website, the first time the department has ever publicly released those records. You can also find that data right on our website. Eric Flack, WUSA 9.